Simply put, in the dance of evolution, adaptation is the driving beat. Adaptation is the way that all species on the planet, whether in the water or on land, respond to changes in their environment. Over billions of years, these adaptations have led to an awesome variety of creatures, each particularly suited to their habitat. Adaptations are the key to basic survival, allowing species to find food, avoid being eaten, and to reproduce. And just as there are millions of different species on the planet, so are there millions of adaptations, wild, wonderful, and sometimes just plain weird.
Ever since Darwin visited, the creatures of the Galapagos Islands off the coast of South America have been stars in the story of adaptation. Take the case of the iguanas. There are two types here, one that stays on land, another that swims. Scientists believe that millions of years ago, there was only one species until a shortage of food created the pressure for some iguanas to slowly adapt to living in the water. Compared to their land-based cousins, the marine iguanas have swimmers' bodies. They have flat tails that help them maneuver in the water. They have long, sharp claws that help them hold onto rocks to avoid being swept out to sea, and they have blunt snouts that allow them to scrape algae off the rocks with 3 razor-sharp teeth. But eating algae for breakfast, lunch, and dinner makes for an awfully salty diet. So marine iguanas remove the salt through special glands located between their eyes and their nostrils. Finding food is a constant challenge for most animals, and coral reefs offer a smorgasbord of succulent morsels for the discriminating species. While some corals look like plants, they're actually colonies of millions of tiny, tasty animals called polyps. Each polyp consists of a stony cup. Inside, there's a layer of soft tissues covered by a skin of stinging cells called nematocysts. These nematocysts can kill small animals that try to eat the coral, and they can cause painful rashes on humans. But some species are able to eat corals without harming themselves.
Parrotfish feed almost exclusively on coral polyps and algae. They coast along the reef, sometimes in large schools. With their strong jaws and teeth, they crunch through the outer skeletons of reefs to eat the polyps inside. Then they excrete the undigested coral as fine sand. Eventually, this sand washes onto shorelines. So remember, when you daydream about escaping to a white sand beach surrounding a tropical island, you have a parrotfish to thank.
As important as it is to eat, it's just as important to avoid being eaten. Many animals use camouflage to avoid being seen by predators. After all, you can't eat what you can't find. Many species of butterfly fish have a false eye spot on their tails, so that their predators have a hard time figuring out which side is up.
Some animals don't have body camouflage to protect themselves from predators. They've adapted a different strategy. Unlike most crabs, the hermit crab lacks protection on its abdomen. Guess you could say it's soft in the middle. So to keep safe, hermit crabs take over empty shells abandoned by gastropods like snails and whelks. They carry their homes with them on their paths across the sea floor, and if they get too big for one, they just find another. But the competition in the housing market can be fierce. Here, a giant conch is eating a hermit crab, while others jostle over its soon-to-be available shell. As 3 crabs fight each other, a 4th risks its life and jumps into the shell before the giant conch is finished eating. And you thought finding a house in your neighborhood was hard. While all adaptations are responses to the environment, some environments seem downright hostile to life, like the deep ocean. It's always dark. It's extremely cold. hovering just above freezing. There's very little oxygen, and the atmospheric pressure is so powerful it could crush your lungs. The female anglerfish has a face that only a mother anglerfish could love. It's got a huge mouth, sharp fangs and bulging eyes, and it has its very own flashlight. This fish even has an appendage suspended from the top of its head that lights up like a lure to attract prey. This ability among animals to create their own light is called bioluminescence, and it's a common adaptation here in the deep sea. Bioluminescence is one of the key ways that these creatures survive. They use the light in many ways: to attract prey, to light their way along the ocean bottom, to fool predators, and to attract mates. The partnership of male and female anglerfish is quite a sight to behold. Female anglerfish can grow to be as long as 20 centimeters, while their male counterparts are, well, shrimps, only growing to the size of a pinky finger. Anglerfish take the phrase, "till death do us part," quite literally. A male anglerfish bites into the side of a female and holds on for dear life. The circulatory systems of the two merge, and the male becomes completely dependent on the female, even to the point of losing his eyes.
Most of the deep ocean is a dark abyss. But there are oases in this desert, oases where heat, if not light, can be found in the form of hydrothermal vents. It's mind-boggling. The temperature around the vents is near the boiling point of water. Still, millions of animals are adapted to living here. Since 1977, when the vents were first discovered, more than 300 new species have been identified: tube worms, crabs, mussels, and blind shrimp with nearly translucent bodies. Up until the discovery of these vents, most scientists had believed the web of life depended on photosynthesis, energy from the sun's light. But the hot vent metropolis is built on a different foundation called chemosynthesis. The energy for the entire ecosystem comes from sulfides pouring out of the Earth's core. The sulfides are digested by microscopic bacteria that live inside the tube worms. The tube worms feed on the bacteria. Shrimp, crabs, and the like feed on the tube worms. And everything thrives without sunlight. Talk about adaptation.
Much closer to home, and much warmer too, are the kelp forests of the California coast. While many fish spawn inside the kelp forest, one fish has adapted a completely different approach. The California grunion actually leaves the water to spawn on the sand. Between March and September, grunions time their spawning according to high tides, but only at night. They then ride the waves like surfers to the shore. Females dig their tails into the sand, making a hole where they deposit their eggs. The males surround the females and release sperm called milt that travels down the female's body to fertilize the eggs. For the next month or so, the fertilized eggs grow until the next high tide comes and bursts the egg surface, releasing the newly hatched grunion fry into the ocean. It's one of the strangest adaptations in the fish world, spawning on land, and scientists believe the advantage to the grunion's method is that the fertilized egg can develop in the warmer temperature and higher oxygen environment of the beach. But the risks are also high. Evolution has led a bird species, the marbled godwit, to develop a bill specially adapted for reaching grunion eggs. It's just one example of the constant give and take of evolutionary adaptations. As Californians, we can witness this extraordinary display of adaptation every year on our beaches. All you need is a flashlight, some warm clothes, and a sense of wonder. But we are also responsible for the healthy future of the grunion. Continuing construction of seaside houses, businesses, and roads means there's less open beach for the grunion to spawn.
Like the grunion, the millions of species on our planet have spent millions of years adapting to their environments. But today, the environment is changing fast, and evolution can't keep up.
Some scientists believe we are in the midst of an extinction crisis. Natural extinctions are an inevitable part of evolution, But today, the extinction rate is more than 3,000 species a year. That's 10 times what it was before the Industrial Revolution. Evolution can't keep up. And the danger is that we will lose all the phenomenal diversity that makes our planet both so unique and makes it possible for all of us to survive.
We're tearing down forests and paving over wetlands. We're overfishing and polluting the oceans. We're changing the climate. Each and every one of us can do our part to turn the tide on extinction and to ensure a healthy future for all of Earth's weird, wild, and wonderful creatures.